Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I am doing my first book review here on YouTube, and I hope you guys really enjoy it. If y'all want me to do more of these videos in the future, just let me know down below in the comments and give this video a thumbs up so I know that you enjoy this type of content. I am a huge book nerd. I love reading, and I would love to share my thoughts with you guys on some of the books that I read. So for today's book review, I'm talking about a book I just finished last night, and that is The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw. This cover is so pretty. I don't think the camera is doing it justice. It's like a really pretty hollow foiled cover, and even underneath the dust jacket, the book is really pretty as well. I just love it when they do that because I end up taking the dust jacket off my books as I'm reading it because I don't want them to get torn up, and I throw books in my purse, take them to work. So I just love the little special details like that. But before we dive in, I want to let you guys know this is going to be a spoiler-free review, so no worries if it's been on your TBR. Mine has been on my TBR shelf for quite a few months now. This came out in March of this year. Or if this book sounds like something you'd be interested in picking up in the future, which I do recommend this book, and I will talk about that more later. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to spoil it. I don't like it when things are spoiled for me, especially in a fantasy type novel. So before diving into the story, I wanted to quickly talk about the author and her writing style. I really enjoyed the way this book is written. So you kind of have your main chapters, which is the present, and then in between each chapter you get a couple pages of a parallel story that actually takes place 200 years prior. And I really enjoyed the way she did that because you kind of got the whole story and you got to look at certain characters from a bunch of different angles, and I really enjoyed the way the book flowed. You didn't get rushed through the story, and it also didn't drag. I actually finished this book in about 3 sittings, and I think it is 308 pages, and I got through it pretty quickly, but I didn't feel rushed. Her character development is really good. You really learn about the characters from all different sides, and also the world building or landscape in this novel was done really well. You could definitely picture the little small town this took place in, and I love being able to see it from the present and the 200 years ago parts of the story. So her writing style I absolutely love, so I hope she has some more books coming for us because I really like this author. So this story takes place in this really small town in Oregon called Sparrow, and I love, again, the landscape of this town. It kind of feels like a forgotten town, except for like this 3-week period during the summer where tourists flood into the town, and then once that 3-week time is over, they kind of all leave, and it is very much like a local town, and they don't really like outsiders. And this story begins right before that 3-week span of time starts, which is known as swan season. So it is called swan season because it is based on this curse that has been put upon this town from 200 years prior. And what happened was these 3 sisters, the Swan sisters, moved to the small town in Oregon as outsiders, and they were accused of witchcraft, and they were actually drowned in the harbor with rocks tied to their ankles. And like I said, they came into the town as outsiders. They opened a perfumery, and remember, this is back in the 1800s, 200 years ago, and they caused a little bit of trouble, meaning the 2 older sisters especially, that's Marguerite and Aurora, those are the 2 older sisters. The little sister is Hazel. They kind of caused trouble in the fact that they were very lustful, and they ended up causing a lot of trouble for families in this small town. They caused husbands to have affairs, men cheating on their girlfriends. They would kind of shack up with like the seamen that came in and out of the harbor, and the town ended up kind of coming together and accusing them of witchcraft, saying that there's no way these women could cause all these men to basically fall at their feet without some kind of witchcraft being involved. When these sisters were accused of witchcraft and drowned in the harbor and their bodies were not recovered, it basically sparked a curse upon this town. So the present story of this book kind of picks up right before this swan season, or this 3-week time period in the summer, begins. And what happens is every year for the past 200 years, for this 3-week time span, the sisters who were drowned over 200 years ago kind of come alive out of the water, and they possess 3 local girls' bodies in the town, and they get to kind of live there and be human in these girls' bodies for the next 3 weeks before they have to return to the water, and then they kind of sleep until the next summer. And during this swan season, every single year, they lure boys out into the harbor and end up drowning them. And it's kind of like their way of getting revenge on the town for wrongfully accusing them of witchcraft and killing them over 200 years ago. What I liked about this book is it is perfect for this time of year, but you could also read this any time of year because it's not like a spooky, scary story. So if you're not into those type of novels, I'm definitely not really much into like the super scary, creepy novels. This story follows more of a curse, so it is great to read around Halloween, but it's not scary in any way, so I just want to throw that out there if you're like me and you don't want to read a scary novel and be awake all night. So in the present, we are following this girl named Penny, and she has grown up in this small town her whole entire life. She lives with her mom kind of across the harbor on this little island, and her dad had left / passed away about 3 years ago. She isn't actually really sure what happened to him. And the night of the swan party, which kind of kicks off this swan season of the novel and of this town, a outsider, this random boy, a tourist, shows up in the town named Bo, and him and Penny meet that night and they start to form a relationship. I actually really enjoyed their relationship building in this story because they're both kind of hiding something, and slowly but surely they kind of reveal their secrets to each other, and it didn't feel rushed in any way, and it felt very believable because they were very relatable towards each other. But they meet this first night and they're kind of just trying to figure each other out. She doesn't understand like why he showed up in this town. She thinks he's just one of those tourists that comes just for the swan season because it kind of turns into this huge spectacle, but he actually has no clue about this curse or anything about the Swan sisters. So I really enjoyed their kind of romance part of the story, and they are also trying to figure out, once Bo becomes very familiar with the curse and kind of starts believing it, they start to try to figure out how to stop this from happening year after year after year. So you kind of follow again that parallel because you have all these flashbacks to what happened 200 years prior, and you have these two other main characters who are trying to figure out why this is happening and how they can stop it. Because what people over the past 200 years have not been able to figure out is how to kill the sisters who are possessing these girls' bodies without killing the girls. And actually years prior, innocent girls had been killed in the town because they were accused of having these sisters / witches being possessed inside of them. And I honestly can't say very much more than that because I do not want to spoil this. I will say that every character you meet may not be who they seem in the novel, which it's very suspenseful and it really keeps you reading, and I think that's what really carries you through the book because you're trying to figure out, is that character who they say they are? And then again, I keep going back to that parallel story, but I just think it was so well done and very important because even with the Swan sisters, you kind of have a love-hate relationship with them. The youngest sister, Hazel, is not like her older sisters at all, where they are very lustful and just care about their revenge on this town. She is actually ready to get out of this whole mess. She says many times in the story, no one should have to live this long. It's not a true life, just being able to come back on land for 3 weeks out of every single year. So you see her struggle with it as well. And she's probably the one sister, when you start to learn her background story, you actually really feel sorry for, and you can kind of relate to her a lot more than the older two sisters. Alright guys, so I think that is it for my summary slash review of the Wicked Deep. I highly recommend it. I really enjoyed it. I will have my Goodreads link down below if you are a reader and you want to friend me on there. And let me know if y'all want more book reviews in the future. Also let me know if y'all want me to keep them spoiler free, or if y'all just want me to go all in and talk about it all, because like I said, I got to a certain point and I just had to stop talking, because if I talked about the characters anymore, it would totally give it away. So I think book reviews without spoilers don't do them justice, but at the same time, I don't want to spoil it for those who may want to pick this book up and read it. So I will see you guys next time, and let me know down below what you're currently reading. I am finishing up my reread of Discovery of Witches, and then I have Hocus Pocus to read this week before Halloween. So I will catch you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!
I can hear the silence as I'm walking by. Everyone's so quiet, I know the reason why. I'm not gonna hide it, I'm not gonna lie. I know you can see it, what you got yourself into. What you got